Welcome to Safari Live. This is a massive elephant bull. And he is in must, a sexually heightened stage. So we do have to make sure we tread lightly around him. They can be aggressive and boisterous. You may notice a large wet patch between his back legs. Isn't he magnificent? Hello, boy. He is absolutely ginormous. Hello, big boy. Are you just going to have a little snack here? Can you believe the size of him? Settle down, buddy. We don't want any trouble here. No ways, he is huge. What a great start this is. Hello, boy. Settle down. This is just too good to be true. You are the most beautiful elephants I have seen in months. And typically we don't get many very large elephant bulls here in the Sabi Sands. It's a weird thing that I can't really work out. I don't have any theories that make sense, but we very seldomly see elephants of this size. So if you are joining for your first time, this is a live safari, and the elephant we are looking at is incredible. He is huge, very thick ivory, not very long, and he just stands so big and tall. Hello, boy. Hello, boy. Settle down. Hey, are you just playing around with us? I think he's enjoying having a bit of company, but he is not alone. There is another 2 elephant bulls. One is still in the bush behind us. Another one, also quite big, has already moved off. My heart is racing. I cannot tell you how exciting this is. Now what he might do is break down this tree. They don't typically feed on these trees, but it'll be a size of strength and power. And he might even continue to rip down this whole tree. He is also having a quick toilet break, as you've probably noticed. Hey, boy. Listen to his ears. This is such fascinating behavior, and even though they can be quite boisterous when they are sexually heightened, in this phase called must, M-U-S-T-H, they can also be equally as inquisitive, and it's not always that they are going to be aggressive towards us. And as we've seen here, we've been enjoying a wonderful sighting with him, and he hasn't been showing that much aggression. Sure, he's shown a lot of interest in us, and off he goes with no problems now, no problems being caused. VM has got a big smile on his face, as does Nikki, who's breathing a sigh of relief. She's got the wind in her hair this afternoon, not in the final control room. We've got Kirsty, Louise and Tara there, and this may be another strength display or dominance display. No, he's actually trying to get to some food, and it was just the other day that we saw an elephant dig out a bulb, and it looks like that's what he's after as well. So obviously the going's good for bulbs at the moment, possibly because they're ripe, but also possibly after the rain that softened the earth and made it easier for the elephants to excavate. Now, look at the size of him. He's taking up the whole road and more. Can you believe that? As I was saying though, this... Oh, is he coming back for more? Hey boy, do you want to go and join your friend who's already behind us? You're welcome to walk past us, I don't mind. This is crazy. Settle down, boy. Settle down. If he does start to touch the vehicle, which he may do, again, it may just be his inquisitive nature. But if he does, I might lift up my hat or lift up my hand just to make myself look a bit bigger. Another thing that I could do is make a small noise, maybe tap the bonnet of the car. But that's not likely. I don't think I will have to do that, but there is a chance. There is a slight chance that may happen. Some Aramark babblers calling in the background. Well, we couldn't have got off to a better start to the afternoon. You can see the effects of this must between his back legs. Clearly a sign of the testosterone and hormones pumping through his body. You can also see how wet those back legs are. And his penis will drip permanently like a broken tap. And this is the indication of must. So good to be aware of. It's also the incredible smell that also gets picked up, or that gets emitted by that dripping, and it's a very sweet smell. Kind of horsey. I'd like to say it's a kind of horsey smell, almost like a wet horse saddle or a sweaty horse saddle, possibly is one way of describing the smell of elephants and musk, but also again a very important smell to be aware of in the bush, because if you are driving around or even just on a walking safari and you smell that smell, well, you know that you could well find an elephant bull that's a little bit more testosterone charged than normal. There goes the other youngster just down the road. So there was 3 of them in total. The one is behind us, and the other 2 are now moving in the opposite direction, interestingly enough. And this is a great scene after a seriously close-up and magnificent encounter with this beast. He is huge. You'll be glad to know Brent is also out on the other vehicle, and the plans for the afternoon are to split up. He's going to work the northern portion of Djuma, I'm going to work the south, and one of us will end up, no doubt, at Karula, a female leopard. She has made an impala kill. She made it last night, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time or have not been on the last couple of safaris. And she's got it hoisted up in a jackalberry tree. She didn't feed on it this morning, but during drives she had fed on it and actually hoisted it higher up into that tree. But when we went past there a few minutes ago, she was fast asleep in a thick bush, so we thought we would come out in search of other things, and I'm glad we did, because we've just had this magical sighting. This is a live safari, of course, if you are joining for the first time, and it's important that you communicate with us. Let us know your thoughts, comments and questions, and to do that you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send an email through to questions@WildEarth.tv. We're going to try and get ahead of these Ellies again, and while we do so, we're going to send you across to Brent for an update.
Safari Live. My name is Brent Smith. I have Brian Djuma on camera, and we're on the sunset. But even when it's a bit grey here, it's certainly never dull. So I'm just having a peruse around our southern boundary, and I'm going to head up towards the eastern boundary. There has been a lot of lion activity to the east of us. Unfortunately, nothing has moved onto our traverse area yet, but nice cool day like today. Were hungry or on a mission, they definitely would have moved in this weather. So worth going to have a squiz along the boundary, see if we can find any tracks. As Scotty's already said, Karula is still on quarantine, but she was very much a flat cat when we went out this afternoon, so we're definitely, between Scott and myself, will head back there later on this safari to see if she gets up to anything. But hopefully we'll be able to add something else to our menu for this evening. So even though the rain might have seemed quite vicious and quite a lot, if we have a look at the remnants of the twin water holes, still a little bit damp, but definitely still dry as a bone. I think we probably had in total over the last 2 days probably just around 15 to 20 millimeters of rain, which is not really sufficient to actually fill up any of the bigger water holes, but very good for all the bush that's around us. And we've got some confused Egyptian geese over there. I think they're looking for water. But not only water, nice short grass like this will provide them with very good grazing. So even though there is no water here, they would have moved into this area to graze. Oh, I just saw a very big tail swishing. I wonder what that could belong to. We're going to try and move around so we can have a look at it now. But it's amazing how some of these incredibly large animals can sort of disappear. Now, could you believe that directly in front of us there's something that weighs, it might walk out into the open now, I just saw a bit of movement, around over 1,000 kilograms, over a ton. There we go. See there, Brian? Head popping out. Oh, she's gone behind the termite mound. She's going to pop out now. There's a female giraffe. There she is. Hello. She's just spotted us. And I can see the bushes moving just to the left of her, so there's probably another giraffe there. So let's go around and see if we can get a bit closer. So while wherever you are in the world, you are joining us on a 100% live African safari. So you're seeing what we're seeing at the same time. And one of the most incredible things about this is that you are able to interact with us and ask us questions about what we're seeing on these safaris, and you can do that by sending us an email on questions@WildEarthTV, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLive on whereabouts in the world. From Fiji to the Great North.
Welcome back, and it seems like Brent's in a bit of a tricky signal area, but it's perfect timing for you to be back on this vehicle because we found a little way through the bush, and in the next minute or so we should be ahead of this massive elephant bull who's slowly walking down the road towards us from left to right. I'm so excited to get into another spot to let him walk past us. Should work well. Here he comes, and we've at least off the road now, so he's going to be able to move past us fairly easily, and let's just see what happens. Boy, he may shake his head as he passes us. That's fairly typical behavior. Hello, boy. We've cleared the road for you this time. Hey, boy, are you just going to stop to allow us to have a close look at you? This is fantastic. You can notice that temporal gland just behind his eye that's sweating ever so slightly, also a sign of must, but it's also just a sign of emotion. The female elephants will also have that temporal gland. Look at the texture of his skin. This is absolutely awesome. He is so close to us. The 6-ton giants, just meters from the vehicle, and I'm sure you all enjoyed that just as much as we did here. Whew. So, some serious adrenaline and heart rate beating this afternoon. Hello Jenny in Johannesburg, and good to have you on board with us again. You were also with us on the sunrise safari, it sounds like, and you'd like to know what snake I think that was. I'm 95% certain that it was a rhombic egg eater that we saw this morning. It is fairly similar looking to a vine snake that you speak of, but there are differences. One of which is that the vine snakes have got a bright orange tongue, and when we saw that egg eater sticking out its tongue, it was black in coloration. And the vine snake has also got a very sharp nose or angled head, so a very distinctive shaped head, different to that of the egg eater. So very similar in coloration and marking. But what I can assure you is that there are so many snakes that look similar to one another, and you've got to be very careful when identifying them or presuming their identity, because some are non-venomous and others are highly venomous, and you obviously don't want to get confused between the two. Let's just cut through the bush here, taking a little bit of a shortcut, and we're just going to now stop on the road that he's about to cross over. Hey boy. Oh, look at how big and strong you are. Is that some kind of a dance move you're doing for us? A kind of Michael Jackson moonwalk, elephant style? No ways, did you just see that fork-tailed drongo fly between its legs? Please let me know if you did. Tiny little black bird, which is just landed up on the left here, and it looks like it's found an insect that's been chased up by the elephant, and it'll continue to move in the direction of the elephant. You can see it there following from tree to tree. And Deborah, I was also holding my breath, don't you worry. I'm glad you felt the same way. That was adrenaline pumping stuff. Not too sure where to go now. This road does kind of weave a little bit, so let's just stay on it and see if we can't get you a few more views of him. He is back actually on the road. Hello to Donna in North Carolina, and you would like to know what the collective noun is rather for a herd of elephant bulls, and it seems to have slipped my mind. I can't come up with anything now. I've had a complete blank. What will often be termed as the young elephants around the big bull will be called the skaris, which is a Swahili word meaning kind of a protector or a guard, and they look after the older bulls to a degree. So the young bull who we saw briefly with this big bull earlier would be called an askari. But I don't know if there's actually an official collective noun for a herd of elephant bulls. The collective noun for a herd of elephants would be a parade of elephants. I'm not sure if there is one specifically for bulls. Please let me know if any of you do know the answer to Donna's question. What a great way to be spending the afternoon. So happy to have you all on board. with myself and VM. And there's a little video I'd like to show you that I took just before we found these elephants, and it's of the lilac-breasted roller chicks. So we've got an update on how they're doing. Both of them are still alive and well after the heavy rain we got last night, so that's good news. And I'll be showing you a video of that later. Also, my plans are to head back to a Cape turtle dove nest. It's very easy to see. It'll be interesting to see if it survived the storm. The eggs may have been blown out of that nest, but if they haven't, we've got a great view of them. Here's the Askari, which VM has just spotted, the young bull who's moving with the big bull. VM, you might want to just go back onto the big bull here, because he seems to be coming back to say hello to us. Settle down, boy. What now? Hey? We've been following at a very respectable distance, and now you've come back and started looking for trouble. The smell of that mustard is great. Very sweet and pungent, like I say, kind of quite a horsey hint to it. You may have got a glimpse of the smaller elephant bull, a lot smaller than he is. And sorry to pull you away from him, but I thought that the big bull who was walking down the road straight towards us may have been our preferred option. Now, that behavior to me, it's nothing serious. I mean, you just simply walked back, had a look at us, nothing very serious, no trumpeting, no huge aggression displayed towards us, but we have spent quite a lot of time with him, and I feel if we spend much more time with him, he may start having a reason to become agitated with us. So I'm sure a lot of you will agree that rather than frustrating this big old boy, let's leave him be and go and look for something else. Now, while we head off and just watch him disappear down the road, we can answer a question from Donna, and she's asking, how often do elephant bulls come into must? And it depends on the individual, and possibly once or twice a year, and from anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months they can be in this sexually heightened phase. But a lot will depend on the individual. They'll typically also only start coming into must at roughly around 20 years of age. So quite a similar development to humans, I guess, in terms of maturing and becoming sexually active. And in terms of their lifespan in general, they've got a very similar lifespan to us at about 60 years of age. Or at least a lot more comparable than most other animals that don't live as long as we do. Afternoon to what sounds like a new viewer, Vivian in Manitoba. So good to hear you've found out about us and are already interacting with us. And Vivian would like to know, how big was this elephant bull in terms of height as well as weight? And I would put him anywhere around 6 tons, but I've never personally weighed an elephant, Vivian. Those are just the rough stats that are used for elephant bulls, and here's a big bull, and a big bull would be considered roughly 6 tons, so in and around that area. In terms of his height, I would say the top of his head or the top of his shoulders would be around 12 feet. But what we can do is we can do a little test quickly, and some of you may have taken some screenshots of the elephants while he was, well, there would have been lots. There would have been some while he was right in front of the vehicle, and there also would have been some when he broke down a branch a bit earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'll be going back down the same road where we viewed him earlier. I'm going to go and stand by that same tree where he was also digging for that bulb, and that way, if you can take a screenshot of me, some of the viewers are really great at this, Vivian, you're going to love this when you see it. And what people are going to do, they're going to overlay an image of myself and the elephant in the same picture, so you get to see how big it is compared to me. And I am 1 centimeter short of 6 foot, so let's do that little fun test now, and then Vivian, what will happen is the other viewers will either post it on Twitter or on their Facebook page, or I guess they could even email it to us and then we could post it. But Twitter is a very useful tool amongst the Safari Live Safarians. And I must say, Vivian, if you haven't worked out how to take a screenshot on whatever device you're watching on, it's definitely worth figuring out, because it's a great way to document what you see on Safari. Okay, so just needed to turn the vehicle around so VM could film me, but we were parked just about here, I think. And now I'm going to jump out, and if you would be so kind, especially the magicians who can put together those two photos into one, if you could try and get this going, that would be great. So I mean, at stages he was standing here within 20 centimeters of the hood of the vehicle. So this would be one comparison in terms of height that you'd be able to use. And screenshot now, boom, and then I can also stand here a little bit further away to give you a bit of perspective. And this is where he was digging with his foot to try and find that bulb. So this is how big elephants are. I'm going to hold my hands out because it'll be quite fun for the picture, as if it's standing right behind me. Good. And this was the silver cluster leaf branch that he broke off this tree. And I mean, look at how high that branch is. I can't even reach it where it broke off of, which is over there. And didn't even nibble on a leaf. That was purely a power display. Oh, I've picked up some thorns here. They have a way of becoming friends with us, or attempting to at least. Great. So now we are going to be heading off to the nests, which I would like to show you. First one being the lilac-breasted roller nest, and then the second one being a Cape turtledove nest that I fear may not be in good shape after the storm last night. Now, we've been discussing the sexually heightened periods of elephant bulls, and Ginny would like to know a little bit more about the females and whether they come into season or whether they just mate with the elephant bulls when the bulls are in must. And Ginny, they do come into season, and it's critical that they are in season to receive a bull who may be in must. The must stage simply, just going to stop here. The must stage simply allows the elephant bulls, or kind of forces the elephant bulls to join up with the herds, and therefore it increases the likelihood of any female being in season being mated with. So it's kind of Mother Nature's way of ensuring that elephant bulls are always looking to mates, and there'll always be a couple of them trailing the breeding herds of elephants. So they'll be a lot more inclined to be around the ladies when they are in must, whereas when they are not, they will be a lot less interested. So it's not to say that the elephant bulls need to be in must in order to mate. They can mate when they are not in must, as long as the female is in season. It's just a kind of safety net to make sure the elephant bulls are going around looking for ladies. That's my theory, at least. Let's take a closer look up here. We've arrived at the lilac-breasted roller's nest and tree. The adult is sitting up somewhere over here. There it is. It's either a male or a female, hard to say. They are incredibly pretty birds, but they don't have the prettiest of calls. You just heard that little squawk. And then, as VM zooms out, he will reveal the position of the nest, which is a cavity in the side of this tree. Interestingly enough, the nest, which is in this cavity over here, is about a meter below that hole actually, so it's not right there, it's about a meter straight down a thin shaft, and then the nest is somewhere in the center of this marula tree. And what happens inside the nest I would like to show you now. There's two little babies, and I've got a video ready here that I'd like to show you. So this was from this afternoon. I've been taking videos every 2 or 3 days. Watch closely. So you can see the little two beaks there and they're shuffling about. And isn't that cool? So they are developing. It's so hard to film. Like I say, they're so far down that hole. And you have to shine a flashlight, try and get space for the camera to see down there. So not easy, but at least it gives you an idea of how they're progressing. And let's hope we'll be able to, every 2 or 3 days, come back and then speed up a video of them growing into fully fledged chicks one day. So that's the plan. Anyway, while we make our way to the next nest, we are going to send you across to Brent for an update.
So we're on the eastern boundary now, and I've just got an update that they found all 5 Birmingham male lions together, probably 1.5 kilometers off to the right in Torchwood. So hopefully they'll get moving. They did kill a small buffalo from what I can hear, and they've already finished it. So hopefully they will march west later on the sunset safari, and if they do, we should be around to pounce, hopefully, if they do come across. Hopefully it was a very small buffalo, so they didn't eat too much, they can still move. So what we're going to do now is we're going to push towards the northern boundary and go have a little peruse around the Buffalo's Hook waterhole. Might be some hippos there. From what I hear about the wild dogs is that they were not found this morning in the western sections. They were only saw tracks, but around, still quite far away from our Traverse area. But if we have no luck in this northeastern corner, I'm going to head down to the northwestern corner, and there's a possibility of coming over there. Sometimes in the when we saw a tortoise a couple of safaris ago, we asked you a little bit. I asked you a little bit about Burton, we are discoverers of one of the sources of the Nile, and Lake Victoria, or European discoverers, that is. So while we're having a little quiet time, while we try to find some animals out here, I think maybe we should sort of the explorers of Africa. And there's a very interesting man, I'm not going to tell you his name just yet, but he was the first person to walk from Cape Town to Cairo, and he did this to win the heart of a lady. He was not a very noble English bird, and he fell in love with a lady who was of a higher standing, and her father, as a joke, said, the only way you can marry my daughter is if you walk from Cape Town to Cairo. So he did. And he did marry her. He actually became a very important in sort of colonial Kenyan society, where he settled after marrying. And I wonder if anyone out there knows what his name is. Who to Cairo for the love of a woman. Her name was Edwina. But you can send your answers through to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. We continue while we search, and it's a little bit quiet. We can discuss a few more other African explorers, some very well known, some not so much. waterhole now. More cases of interest to see. That rain last night rained a little bit. As I said, after looking at Twin Dams, there was almost no
shame. It appears like Brent really isn't having much luck with signal this afternoon, but I'm loving having you guys on board with me, so not to worry. And also the timing was perfect. I'm just trying to remember, this was the right spot where, just trying to remember where this Cape turtle dove nest is, and I'm fairly certain it's just around one of these corners. Yeah, I think I've seen the bush that it's in straight ahead of us. Let's hope that those 2 eggs that were there last time are still in fact there. After the huge storm that we had last night, very windy, and its nest, or this specific nest, is not one that is well designed for keeping eggs in them, but I think there's good news. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stay far away. VM, it's in this bush to our right here at about 3 o'clock now. And I can actually see the adult sitting on the nest. It's not going to be perfect, but let's have a look. Interesting, it's not a Cape turtle dove. It's a laughing dove. I just saw it fly off at high speed. It's right in the center of your shot, not easy to see. There's also a millipede on one of the branches just to the right of its head. And then some impala went, ooh, is that the wild dog run? Yep, that's the wild dog run. There are wild dogs here. There are definitely wild dogs here. These impala are being chased by wild dogs. There's impala running up ahead of us, and we are going to come back to this bird's nest once we try and find these wild dogs. I'm 99% certain they're dogs. Impala do this bizarre kind of seesaw-like running motion where they plonk off their back legs onto their front legs, and they only do it when being chased by wild dogs. There's a few more doing it here. They're tired. They've been running for quite some time now. Come on! We're at Ballanati Zoe's Junction. Lou told Brent that that's the area. Ballanati Zoe's. Come on! Now, I haven't seen any dogs yet, but the impala have been running from right to left. Shame, here's one impala here, so tired in front of us. Station signs of some impala doing the escape run from wild dog on Zoe's Ballanati's. No sign of the dogs yet, but I'm certain they're here somewhere. Go ahead, Andrew. Apologies, I'm going to need to be on the radio to try and coordinate the search. Andrew impala running that specific style they do and running from wild dog. They're heading south from Ballanati Zoe's Junction, so I'm guessing the dogs are somewhere to the north of them. Okay, what do we do? Where do we go? They could have run such a big distance to get to where we've seen them, and who knows, maybe the wild dogs have succeeded in catching one further behind, or further in front of us rather. There was no sign of the impala crossing that road in front of us, so I'm guessing we're going to find some sign of the wild dogs crossing this road over onto the right hand side, which is where the impala seem to be running from. Here the impala have run down this road, so we are heading in the right direction, kind of backtracking. And it's important to know that wild dogs move huge distances when chasing their prey. They are not ambush predators, they are stamina hunters that use their incredible speed as well as their incredible stamina to run huge distances until they bring down their prey. So unlike lion and leopard, and that's what's going to make finding them tricky now. The other tricky thing is that this block is a massive one, so not many roads go through this bush to our right, and that is where we need to be searching. I'm also going to be checking the road carefully for any sign of the wild dog tracks. Not that they will help us too much other than confirm that they are actually wild dogs here, because at the moment it's all merely me hypothesizing that due to the style of running that the impala were doing, they are being chased by wild dogs. But I am 99% certain. I would have loved to show it to you, but basically they do kind of a slow motion pronk from back legs onto their front legs, and this is in all likelihood to display to the dogs that they are good athletes, that their bodies are working well, and it would then suggest to the wild dog to possibly go and look for a weaker impala that does have some kind of a disability. Oh, come on, please. Brent is also racing here. It's his favorite animal. And Jamie is also coming out on tracking team to try and help us. What I'm probably going to do is do a U-turn up ahead and head back in that direction. They are incredibly successful hunters, wild dogs, so they succeed more than most other predators about 80% of the time, and that means that they could well have been lucky and already brought down an impala somewhere in here. On the other side, they may have split up. They don't necessarily always hunt as a pack, in terms of when they see prey like a herd of impala, each dog will pick one and they could end up chasing impala in 3 different directions, therefore ending up quite far from one another in a very short space of time. So we could find one dog here that could lead us back to the rest of the pack. Hard to say what is going on or what is happening. I haven't seen one wild dog track, and I'm beginning to doubt myself as to whether they are in fact here, but I'm certain. I'm still certain. Not easy conditions to see tracks in. We're driving quite quickly. It's overcast. I feel very strongly that we are on their trail. We just need some serious fortune now in order to be able to track them down. Another impala alone that would have been bombshelled from the herd. Oh no, it's a whole bunch of them. They seem quite relaxed for now. So just a brief glimpse of them. I do want to keep moving and looking for these dogs. We need to try and cover as much ground as possible. There to our left, just a small group of about 3 or 4 females. Where are you guys? I'm guessing about 40 or 50 impala ran past that little clearing. It was difficult for us to show them to you because they were quite far, and in all the panic and excitement didn't really work out, but a lot of impala came streaming past us, and they came from this thick bush. There's a little bit of precipitation earlier, so let's hope that holds off. We had to cover the camera up with a big blanket, so we did have a little bit of moisture. I think Brent was also experiencing similar weather where he is further north of us. And as much as this area needs rain, I sadly must admit that it doesn't help us doing. Going back, I could well have been seeing things. I just need to double check just to make sure. Yeah, I was just double checking. Thanks, Sphere. There's something in there that caught my attention that seemed a bit out of place, but now in second all is clear. Go ahead, Tom. No, not yet. They basically came running out of the block over the eastern side of the Balanites four-ways heading south. Just eastern, that four-way junction heading south, a lot of them. And there's no sign of any dogs. Copy, sounds good, Pet. Maybe then up to Quarantine and down Philemon's Dip. I'm sure they're somewhere between Zoe's, Rebecca's and the pump house. Copy that. Copy, thanks, Jamie. Well, what I think we should do is go back and have a quick look at that dove's nest, as bizarre as it sounds. But it is right here, and if it wasn't for that dove's nest, we wouldn't have been in the right area to see this action unfold. And what I'm hoping it may provide us with is just some silence, and what silence will hopefully provide us with is information and some sounds around us. Maybe you'll hear the high-pitched whining of excited wild dogs, just some clues as to where they may be. So this is a much better view. Look at how pretty this bird is. The laughing dove, rusty bronze coloration on its wings there. I'm not sure if this is the male or the female incubating. They probably both take turns. And it's such great news that she is, or he is, still on the nest, because, which is a very haphazard structure of twigs that it's sitting on. You can't really see it very clearly, but the fact that it is here indicates that there are in fact eggs. Oh, there we go. Goodbye. And if you can't just zoom in there and see if you can't see the eggs, well, I'll reposition so that we can. Great news. So we are going to be able to keep monitoring this nest as well. Obviously we didn't intend to chase the adults away, but it's probably not going to be too long before it gets back. Hey. Oh, there's a millipede in the web in the nest as well. So not easy to see, but you can make out the two individual pearly white eggs there, and the little millipede also joining in on the action. Awesome. So glad we did get to see that, and not too sure what to do next now. I think we should maybe actually go back the way we've just come from. I know Brent is also in the area now, so that's great news. Maybe we'll go down a little bit right first, just to make sure they haven't come down this way. Like I said, they move so incredibly quickly and such huge distances that they could chase prey for kilometers or many miles before their prey tires, and they can then kind of basically trip them up. That's often how a wild dog do bring down their prey. They just bite at their heels, or their prey actually just collapses in fatigue, and then the wild dog simply start to tear open the carcass while it's alive. They don't suffocate their prey. So if we come around the corner to a grisly scene, you have been warned. They do not perform a very neat and clear coup de grace. Go ahead, Brent. Okay, copy that. Obviously, I mean, it's just the theory with that style of running that those Impala do, but there were so many of them coming past us that I'm 95% sure there's something here. So Brent has checked Philemon's cut line, no sign of anything there. He's a little bit further to our west. And we just need to chat with one another to make sure we cover as much ground as possible. Down Rebecca's extension towards the pump house, and then I'm going to turn around and head back up to Ballinati's and then north on Zoe's. Sorry guys, a lot's going on obviously, so I'm battling to give you my undivided attention, but I promise you I will once we find the wild dogs. Hello Tim in Arkansas, and Tim would like to know what is the biggest threat of wild dogs, because they've got such successful hunting techniques and they also give birth to such large litters that he doesn't quite understand why they are endangered. And for those of you who don't know, they are critically endangered animals. There's only about 200 adults in total in the 3 million hectares that is the Greater Kruger National Park. So that gives you an idea how rare they are. And so what causes them to be critically endangered is mainly rabies, canine rabies, which is a deadly virus that spreads between mainly domestic dogs in South Africa. In other countries it gets vectored mainly by bats, but it's a terrible disease and a deadly disease, even to us as humans. And because wild dogs are such social and interactive pack animals, if one animal from a pack gets rabies from interacting with a domestic dog, which there are many stray domestic dogs in Africa. You mustn't forget that it is a third world country, and in third world countries there are lots of issues, and rabies is one of them, and a lot of stray dogs is another. And the strange thing is the stray dogs actually usually only break into reserves and come into reserves when they are in fact rabid. When they're not rabid and there's not a rabies outbreak, they stay out of the reserves. The problem is dogs will be dogs and they fight with one another, wild dogs and domestic ones. And as I was saying, if one pack member does get rabies, they do a lot of kissing and licking of one another, and that's how rabies is spread most effectively, through saliva. And whole packs will be wiped out at a time. So I think that's the main reason why their numbers are dwindling. But also the usual factors that play into most endangered animals, habitat loss being a major one. In most cases, I guess. So yeah, habitat loss, they are very high ranging animals. wild dogs. Now I'm going to have a lot of questions fired at me when I get back to camp as to why I got everyone to race out here in search of these wild dogs that we have still not seen any tracks of. So I'm going to be doing my best to try to resurrect that. What I may do is try and get onto the Arathusa Game Drive channel and see if they can't confirm that the pack has indeed crossed across onto Djuma. They were last seen on Sibambili and Arathusa, our western neighbours. Just need to wait until I get a gap on the radio. It's quite a busy radio frequency, so guys are chattering away at the moment now. Can any station copy me? Sadly, the radios don't work as effectively as we would like them to, so a lot of my calls will not actually get through to the guys I'm hoping it will. Any station come in for Scott? Afternoon, just wondering if there's been any sign of the Madach. I've got Impala belegering all around the power lines, Triple M. Okay, copy that, thanks. Get up. Okay, so no updates there, but that's not to say that they are not around. They only had tracks of them this morning in the general area still, so still very likely that they could be around. Okay, well, because Brent has raced all the way over here in order to try and aid in this search, why don't you go across and get an update from him, and we'll continue searching for any sign. I'm hoping to find some tracks to prove that they were actually here.
So we've moved into the area to try and help Scotty with the wild dogs. So Scotty's checking around there, and we're checking there. So we're all going to be moving quite quickly because those dogs move at such incredible speeds. So eyes open, everyone. We really, really need to try find them. And the thing is, they can be here this second and literally gone the next. They can do about 60 kilometers an hour, and they can do that for extended periods of over 5 kilometers. Sorry guys, it's going to be on the radio for a second. There's no one there, Andrew. Make right. So I know Brian's eagle eyes are scanning, my eyes are scanning, and at the same time we're looking for tracks. There's tracks of impala running in all directions here. So this is possibly the area where those impala that Scott saw came charging from. Seems like you guys are a smart bunch out there. Well done to Mumsy, Lucy. Oh, hang on, sorry. Just some zebras, and they look very relaxed. Edwin, Wendy, Maddie. Well done, guys. You got that. Is that impala there, Brian? Yep. Looks like it. They look very relaxed. Sorry about that, guys. So, those are the guys who got the question correct about the first man to walk from Cape Town to Cairo. His name was Erot Grogan, or Cape to Cairo Grogan, as he was known after that amazing feat. So, no sign of any dogs there. Relaxed Impala here. So I think possibly we need to check a bit further north. So the last place the wild dog tracks were seen were not actually far from here, just to the west. So keep our eyes wide open around here. Although even having tracks of wild dogs sometimes can be really confusing because they can change their direction in a split second. Hunting style is it's called a courser. It courses through the woodland until it actually sees something and then will set for the chase. And they're not real sneaky stalkers like lions and leopards, and they rely on that incredible stamina and speed, of course, being able to do that incredible speed for such a long time to bring down their prey. Here, they also look very, very relaxed. Another impala there. You can see, just move forward a tiny bit, pop through to the gap. Quite relaxed. A sign that they have been recently pursued by a pack of wild dogs. And while we're on impala, sorry guys, just going to chat to Scotty for a second. I'll come for you to access. So Scotty's seen impala 1s and 2s towards the western edge of quarantine. So we're gonna check from a bit further west and down towards quarantine. Maybe they're in that area. They're definitely not around here. So relaxed impala in this area. And Marianne from Arkansas was wondering, well, if wild dogs can run that far and that fast, how far and how fast can impala run? Well, how impala normally try to get away, they can generally, they're a bit quicker off the mark than the wild dogs, but they can probably also only run and numbers. The more of you are, the less chance you are of the one that's going to get eaten. No wild dog tracks here yet. Continuing our search for wild dogs, we're going to go to Scotty, who's with the Legomorph.
This is an animal that we get to show you very often, a scrub hare, and they are predominantly nocturnal. Just going to creep forward a few meters. Hopefully it doesn't bounce away. It's not perfect, but we do have a bit of a view of it. And like I said, we don't see these very often. Well, we do at night, but we don't shine spotlights on prey animals like this. And in fear that we may leave it blinded. Look at those massive ears, the sign of a hare. And there are three distinct differences between rabbits and hares, one of which is their ears. Another one is where they live. Hares like this will live under bushes or in small shallow scrapes, which is just a kind of slightly swept area, you could say, underneath a bush, so not in burrows like rabbits. And the third and final difference is up to you, the viewers, to let me know about. So there are three differences between scrub hares, or hares, and rabbits. Rabbits have got small ears, hares have got big ones. Rabbits live in burrows, hares live above the ground. And the third and final difference I will wait to hear from you. So send through the answers to questions at WildEarth.tv. In this case it is an answer, but questions at WildEarth.tv or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Still convinced that the wild dogs are here. We've had a few more sightings of impala in ones and twos, and what is actually quite interesting is we saw one young male who was born this time last year. He came running past us again, looking fatigued, and then another female popped out of the bushes, and the young male saw her and came running straight towards her. So happy to see another impala after they'd been split up. And again, a good indication that there must be something that is not quite right here. And again, wild dog is the most likely predator to cause such disruption and chaos. And Ellen has just asked, is it not possible that the impala would have run away from Karula? And Ellen, it is possible, but it's highly, highly unlikely. You've seen impala, when they see a leopard, especially when it's got a kill, they'll walk up to it, alarm calling and making sure that all the other animals in that area get to know where it is. They don't flee wildly away from it, especially not large distances, and it's a large distance from where Karula is to where we saw those impala running. Impala will obviously run off if they are being chased by a leopard, but only a short distance, and thereafter they're usually going to stop, like I said, start alarm calling, spreading the word. So I think the wild dog is somewhere down to our right, or something is down to our right. I'm just digging myself into a deep trench here at the moment. But Ellen, no, I don't think that the impala's behavior would have been like that. Again, I've never also seen impala do that very specific style of running, other than when they were being chased by a wild dog. It is the only time that I've seen impala do that, and therefore I think it's fair to say that it's their trademark move when being chased by them. Now, the last pack of wild dogs that was in this area was called the Investec pack. It's a pack of 3 adults, and I think about 10 or 11 pups. I'm not sure how many are left, but I think it's about 10 or 11 was the last counts. And what may have happened here is that these 3 adults have come off hunting or come out hunting, left the pups alone, and what they'll do is they'll feed on as much of a kill as they possibly can before regurgitating it for the pups wherever they are, wherever they've run back to. So it could be that there are 2 different sets of wild dog, one set of pups, one set of adults in this general area, and we just got to hope that even if the adults may have made a kill in the block, they may well have to leave in order to return to the pups wherever they left them. We should do one more loop around. Let's actually do this whole block once more. So a loop around the entire block that I think they're in. Thereafter, I will have to probably throw in the towel and accept defeat. am loving this cool weather. It's very, very uncommon in our summer months. Just going to chat with Brent again quickly. I've just turned on to Philemon's dip. I'm going to loop around the block once more and then probably throw in the towel. Perfect, good idea. Okay, so Brent has been fruitlessly searching, and I can tell from the tone in his voice that he thinks I've lost my marbles, which I do not blame him for, but that is what's going on in Brent's head. He hasn't seen any tracks, and he's probably a little bit saddened by the trauma of the lack of tracks or evidence of them even being here, because as I said, they are his favorite animal, and he would have got so excited when the initial call came through. And I just wish we could find one single track, because that would give us the clues we need. Some Franklin's sounding a bit disturbed up ahead. Hello to Judy. Judy's pointed out one of the differences between hares and rabbits, and it wasn't the one I was looking for, but it still is applicable, so well done, Judy. And that was that hares are precocial and rabbits are altricial. I think I've got them the right way around. Basically, precocial meaning they are born at a stage where they can almost kind of fend for themselves. They are not completely helpless, and altricial for rabbits means they are kind of helpless and rely heavily on their parents for their first few days or weeks. And that would make sense, Judy, because rabbits live in burrows. Therefore, when they give birth to their young, they are going to be given birth to in a safe place where they don't need to be able to run and kind of fend for themselves from day one. Whereas hares who do not live in burrows do not have those privileges, and therefore have a different birthing kind of style or level at which they give birth, and that is to a more developed youngster, so that it's got a stronger chance of surviving in its life without a burrow to go and hide in. So thanks very much, Judy. That certainly is one of the reasons that makes them different to one another, but it wasn't the one I was looking for. And the correct answer, there's a few coming through, is that hares run and rabbits hop. So that was the third one. A few of you were saying there's different food types. Marie got that right. Diane, Matthew, my friend in Ohio. How are you doing, Matty? Well done. And Enid and Lowry. So that's just to name a few. I'm sure a lot more of you have probably also got it right, but apologies if I haven't mentioned every single one of your names. But thank you for those who also contributed other correct information, which isn't wrong, and that is that rabbits may feed on kind of different things to hares. Hares are generally feeding on harder vegetation and rabbits on softer. So nobody was wrong, but I was mainly looking for that one, that hares run and rabbits hop. So Brent is still in the area of these possible ghost wild dogs, but he's bumped into another predator. So enjoy, and we will catch up later on.
So we've decided to come sit with the queen, a very contented queen of Djuma. This is a female leopard named Karula. For those of you who don't know, Karula means the peaceful one. And you can see she's got a nice big fat belly. She managed to catch an adult female impala last night, who would have also been pregnant, so she would have got quite a lot of eating done, and there's still quite a lot of the carcass left, and she's put it up in a jackalberry tree to keep away from hyenas and other marauding predators such as lions. And the other thing is that if those wild dogs are around, sitting here quietly, if they have become separated from each other, it's a good spot to listen for contact calls. That wonderful woo call, sort of a woo, 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 that they call to each other when they've been separated. So it's unusual for a leopard to make a kill in such an open area, and this whole area is very short grass, very open, so quite difficult to hunt in, especially if you're an ambush predator, or a stalk and ambush predator like a leopard. But the reason she would have been able to do that last night was that incredible storm, that wind and lightning and rain would have covered her scent and covered the sounds that she might make while she was moving, and also it would have impaired the impala's senses dramatically. So that's why she was probably able to catch them out in this really open area. So guys, Andrew's just told me there's a hyena running into this area from the north. So we're just going to see what happens. It's obviously smelt the carcass. There we go. There's Howard, the hyena. And Karula's now spotted it, the hyena, but the kill's quite high, so no chance of the hyena managing to steal that from her. But we all know how patient hyenas can be, and that's one of the reasons they're so successful, is that it will wait underneath that tree for Karula to drop tidbits. Oh, there we go. See, it's already found a bit of stomach content by the looks of things. So the kill is very safe up in the tree, and the undesirable bits that the queen did not want to eat, she has discarded to the riffraff. And hyenas fulfill such an important ecological... spraying everywhere. Such an important ecological niche. Now I'm sure hyena's wondering, where is the leopard? Hasn't seen Karula yet. Sometimes hyenas start to sort of think they're more agile than they really are, and I have seen them try leap to grab a carcass. I think that one knows that that is way too high to attempt. And the hyena's going to move off behind us. Karula's head's up now. Sniffy, sniffy. And Karula's just watching the hyena quite intently. I'm quite sure that hyena's not going to move too far. Karula's had a long life, so she's quite adept at dealing with pesky hyenas. And she'll be able to escape from that hyena quite easily. She's staring really intently at that hyena. He's still feeding on what looks to be a bit of the stomach contents, or the stomach itself. It's gone back below the tree. Imagine how terrible it must be for a hyena. Always be underneath a leopard kill and look up at that tantalizing meat that's so close, yet just so far. Specifically when female leopards have cubs and youngsters, they have far more success in scavenging off leopards because the cubs are not as experienced at handling and feeding in trees, and they often drop the carcasses. And I've seen hyenas wait for 3 or 4 days underneath the leopard carcass just for those tiny bits of bones and scraps. So it's probably been quite difficult for the hyenas to smell after all the rain, and that's probably why they haven't found this carcass yet. Now we've had a little bit of a dry spell. The wind is coming through from the south. The hyena den is in those drainage systems to the north, and sure, it just picked up. Oh, there we go. Karula's up. The hyena has spotted Karula. She's having a scratch. Now it's quite interesting. Sometimes hyenas will take this opportunity to try and chase the leopard. Other times, they'll just ignore them. But here comes the hyena charging in towards the queen, and it's going to be interesting to see whether she tries to hiss. Oh, the hyena's going a little bit. There we go. And you can see he's decided not to pursue her. So the reason for that is he's probably just coming to inspect to see if there isn't any more carcass here or any other pieces of the kill. And having found nothing, oh, interesting. It looks like the female hyena who's got the scar on her back, and she's the one with the youngest cub at the moment. Is it her? Oh, I can't really see from here. Now she's got a very distinct scar on her left hand side of her back.
Go down now.
Just checking around everywhere to make sure that there's no other predator or other prey around, little bits that might have been dropped during the kill.
Go ahead. The piece just got in here.
She's just watching the hyena. It doesn't pose a serious threat to her on the ground, and she knows she's fast enough and agile enough to escape, and she knows her kill is really, really safe up in that tree, well out of the hyena's reach. Look at the hyena, quickly. The hyena's now on its back legs trying to climb up or get as high as it possibly can at the tree, and definitely reaching above its means. Hyenas are incredibly powerful animals with incredible stamina, but blessed with absolutely zero tree climbing ability. What are you up to?
No, she's got a new one.
There we go. You can actually see the little pile of leaves there. That's probably where the hyena dug out that stomach content from. As leopards and lions, there we go, you can see, will often bury the stomach contents to try mask the smell. And I'm quite sure that's what she's done there. And he's just looking for little bits of bone and meat that she might have forgotten or been too small to be of interest to her, and feeding off those. And that's what hyenas are so good at. They utilize every little scrap of food. And she's sat up now, still watching and listening, not so perturbed. sometimes this type of behavior will induce her to actually go feed a little bit on the carcass, just because there is that potential threat of competition.
No problem. I'm not sure I know my colleagues sometimes.
There we go. See, sometimes it does spur them on. She's just having her ablutions now, and we'll see if she moves forward.